Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. Today I'm going to show you how to make a compost bin. I know I have shown you this before, but you can use this all winter, fall, summer, spring, any season, rain or shine. But I'm also going to turn this for me into a bird feeder as well as an insect food farm, not just for me that's breaking down my compost, but for all my native birds now that we have brought to our garden. So let me show you step by step how this is going to work, and I think this can work for you because you can use this anywhere, on a balcony, a deck, in a big garden, a small garden, and it's going to be contained, and you can even compost meat if you want in here. I have. Let's get right into this and let's explain it and show it at the end how it's all set up and how it's going to work. So this is an 18-gallon Sterilite tote, which you could get at Walmart, Target, different companies sell it. You can get them online. They generally sell for about $7. And if you can't find them, go in the store and ask for them. Now, what we're going to do is you're going to see me set this up. I will explain step by step what I'm doing and why. And this is going to be not only the greatest compost, easiest compost bin you're ever going to make, but it's going to be rodent proof. Nothing's going to get in there except for what you want to get in there. And that is all your microbes and everything that break all the matter down, the kitchen scraps, leaves from your garden, anything you toss in there, paper, that's going to be able to get in there and it's going to be able to breathe. Let's get this together and then we'll come back at the end with the surprised ending, how this is also going to benefit all the birds in the garden. Right now we'll put this together and I'll show you how I do it, but these birds are going to love this compost bin. Now what I'm using here is a Flash Fish 200-watt portable power station. I use it all over my garden in the spring when I'm making holes in my totes, but of course you can use a drill. But this has just been so great because I don't have to go look for an outlet. I bought them a couple years ago. I've got 2 of them and I use them for emergencies. When the lights go out, all I have to do is plug in a lamp. Well, let's get back to this. And the other thing you'll need is a soldering iron, and you can get that anywhere. So the power unit is usually about $100, and the soldering iron, you can pick them up sometimes at the dollar stores. So figure you're going to spend under $10, and also those will last for years. Now the first thing I'm going to do is get oxygen into my tote, which means I'm going to put holes all along the top because it's not going to be filled to the top. And this will allow oxygen flow as well as my fruit flies and little tiny insects can get in there, but no rodents will be able to get in there. If you get ants, don't worry about it. Ants are also breaking everything down, but if you don't like ants, you'll notice here that I'm going to have my tote sitting on a chair. You could make an ant moat on each leg. All you have to do is sit each leg in a cup, fill it with water, and they can't get into it. So that's a way to get rid of ants. Kind of like the same process I do for my hummingbird feeders. I make my own ant moats, and I don't have a problem when the ants are running around looking for food. They can't get to my hummingbird feeders. So here I want to get a good airflow going in. So I'm going to continue to make holes, which is so easy with a soldering iron, and do this outside, though I have done it inside with a mask, but do it outside if you can, and just go all the way around. That's all you're going to need, and that's the only big process you're going to have to do with this tote. And the last small thing you'll need to do with the soldering iron is just make holes on the bottom, because remember, we always need drain holes. We need to make sure the water doesn't stay in there because our microbes, our earthworms, and everything in there that we want to break down all that matter we're going to throw in there is not something that lives underwater. It needs oxygen. It wants to be damp, it wants to be wet, but it doesn't want to be waterlogged. So make sure you get some really good holes down there. And you know what? We're done with this. We now have it all set up and ready to go to start using as a compost bin. But wait, there's more coming. It took me minutes. I used my little power bank. This is a power unit that I can drag around the yard. All I have to do is turn it on when I want to use it and turn it off when I'm done. I love these. Have nothing to do with it. I bought it online, but it's been the greatest tool for my garden. But you can just plug it in, your soldering iron. You know how I love my soldering irons. And you could do this in the house. You didn't have to do it out in the garden. Now, all I have to do is fill it. So let's get this filled with, or at least start filling it, because it's going to be a slow process. As I have more kitchen scraps and as I have leaves from the garden, I will continue to fill it. Food, matter, everything on top of each other. If for any reason you think it smells, grab some soil from the ground if you've got some, or keep a little bit in a bucket and sprinkle some on top. But it's going to break down, and this is going to be so great. So let me get this filled to get started, and then I'll tell you how this is going to be beneficial in my bird garden. So as you can see, I've been doing some cleaning in my bird garden, and I've been collecting brown leaves and branches and everything, and I'm going to put that on the bottom because it's bulky, and this way the water will run good. Then I picked some colored leaves and other leaves that were around the garden. I also had some kitchen scrap buckets that were sitting around and they were starting to rot. Well, that's going in there too. It's already started, so it's a win-win. Now we're ready to compost. So now I started putting stuff in it that I had just sitting around the yard that I didn't know where to put from, the kitchen. There's eggshells and, there's old flour and who knows what else is in there. Well, now it can sit. And what I'm going to do is cover it. It doesn't matter if it smells. You're not going to smell it. It's covered. Now, fruit flies are going to gravitate to that. They're going to go in there and they're going to do their thing. Do not worry if you find maggots in there. That's nature, but you will get no mice, no rats, no nothing. Everything will be contained. And when you come out with your kitchen scraps, just uncover it, go ahead and dump in it, cover it back. If you want, you can grab some handfuls of soil and throw it on top, sprinkle it on inside on your food matter. You can compost leftover meat if you had chicken or something cooked. Keep in mind, chicken bones won't break down. You'll find those, but that's no big deal. Think about it. What are they finding? Dinosaurs and bones all the time. And that creates air pockets for the matter, or I should say for the microbes and everything, breaking everything down. It gives it space so it doesn't compact into muck. What you want to do is not get this too wet. If it gets too wet, like you were raining all the time and it couldn't drain quick enough, then that's when it's just so full of water that your critters that you want to break it down, they won't be able to live because they're not underwater creatures. They need oxygen. They're going to get plenty of oxygen from the holes that are all around the top. Any water that builds up on the bottom will drain out, and any water that's in there, you can water your plants around the garden with, or if you want, you can dump it back in. This is such a perfect setup. No turning, no nothing, just keep adding. Now, as you start to plant in the spring or whenever you want, you just go in there and grab, kind of take your shovel, move it over and start taking it out. Put that in the bottom of your containers, and not the very bottom, in the middle if you're using totes or flower pots or buckets. Even in the ground, you can put it near your plants, not on top of them, but kind of near them, and you can take out all you want when you're ready and continue to build. Don't worry if it's not all broke down, because as you move it into another flower pot or in the ground, those microbes, those critters are going to continue to eat it down, and that's what builds your beautiful soil, your compost. Now let's get into one more reason why I am so crazy about, look at the flies are already coming to it, and they're a good thing, because if you don't have earthworms, they're going to break it down too. But I'm going to show you one other thing why I am going to be setting up a ton of them through my garden, because this is going to be beneficial to the birds in my garden. Now, as many of you know, we have brought in over 60 species of small type birds. They're not all seed eaters. Half of them eat insects, so they're going to go nuts over this. They're going to be flying around looking for those little critters that are flying out of the holes, and they're going to be all over the place. We also feed the seed eaters. So I made a different type of top for this. I could have made it on the solid tote lid, but since I have so many tote lids you'll see in a few moments, I went ahead and made it hollow, which means I cut the center out of this one so I can lift it off if I don't want it on there at all, and then I can take the top off sometimes during the day on a nice day and let the birds dive bomb in and look for all the insects. Hummingbirds love this. They'll fly around looking for fruit flies. They'll go in there and take the little tiny critters that are crawling around, and so will your warblers and your other songbirds, and many other birds love insects. The bush tits Or I can take the tray sometimes, leave the top on so no hawks or anything will bother them, and sit the tray inside. It's no big deal. So the birds will go in there, eat some seed. If it falls in there and grows, I can compost it back in. This is just going to be fabulous for a bird garden, to be able to feed birds that not only eat seeds, but are in desperate need of insects. And there's the lids, and here's how you do it. Now here I'm going to make a bird feeder for my compost tote, and you can cut it out with a knife or whatever you want to use. I use a knife, but sometimes I do use a scissors. Be very careful. I have instructions exactly how to do this on my other videos. Then I just cut it in half over and over until I have enough strips. And keep in mind, it doesn't matter how thin it is. You could go thinner than mine. Mine's just under 2 inches. And there it is. You've got your strips to work with. Now from here is where I'm going to put them on my lid. Now since this is going on a compost one, I'm using one of them that I've cut out. But when I'm making just a bird feeder, I use a whole one. And you can always use placemats or floor tiles for those strips. You staple them on and you've got yourself a covered bird feeder. Please go back and check my other videos where I have full, slowed down instructions. Now remember, when you're composting, you want to keep it watered. Think of it as a plant, so make sure it doesn't dry out. And there it is, all set up. Now let me tell you what's going on, because this was crazy doing this video. So let me tell you what happened. You can see that my little power unit is there still. I had set this up the other day as a bird feeder. I made the whole video, and the birds love it a lot. As you can see, they were screaming at me while I was trying to do this video because I wanted to set this up. My goal was to set it up as a compost unit. But like I said, it's going to also feed all the insect eaters that come in. We have a lot of yellow warblers, flycatchers, all those. They're going to be hanging around to catch all the flies coming out of the holes. And there'll be days that I'm actually going to open the top, just leave it open. I may have to leave the tray in because they were screaming. They were following me around. They wanted the tray back. I mean, it's not like they don't have food. They've got the whole yard. It's got food. I'm sitting right inside the sliding glass doors. Look at this. The whole yard's got food. But they wanted that feeder. I think it's, you know, the unit is safe to them. They know no hawk, nothing can get them. They know if we don't have cats, but if we did, they would hear the cats coming because the straps on that would move. This has just been phenomenal. Well, the problem is they won't let me move it. So I'm going to have to figure out on the days I want to open it, because on nice, sunny, warm days, as the critters in there are eating everything down, I can leave the top open and let the wrens and all those birds get in there, especially in spring when they have babies. They're going to be hovering all over that, because I usually put buckets out on my deck, my compost buckets, and let them sit for a couple days, and the hummingbirds fly around because they too eat the tiny insects that are breaking down all our matter. So this is going to be, well, interesting, but I'm going to get a whole bunch of these made. So I'll be collecting compost tea. Well, it's going to be a beautiful fertilizer out of there. See the drain holes? It will drain into the bucket, and I'll have to have more of these around or be able to sit that top somewhere, because it's the top that they're absolutely crazy about. They know that it's not open to the sky, and they know that they're protected. I used an umbrella today because the Apple phone I use has a terrible glare, and I'm hoping they're going to fix that one day. So I hope you enjoyed this, but I'm glad the birds got their feeder back, because, well, they were letting me know they wanted it. So cute. So with that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. And it'd be great if you liked and subscribed. Bye-bye.